taking off the bugs. All right, if you had stayed in Newcomb, you probably would have been in a lineage of guide boat builders, but you're still in the lineage. This guide boat was built by William Alden, who died in 1885. He was a son-in-law of the gentleman who built this one. This one is like the granddaddy of guide boats. This one is a utility guide boat. It was used by a place in Racket Lake Village they had an inn, and they used to let their patrons use this one. So you can see if you look carefully that this one is banged up a bit. This one was advertised on eBay about 5 years ago, and the price was pretty high even for a banged up guide boat. We bought this one. We inquired and we said we couldn't pay their price. They came down in price after a family discussion, and the family discussion decided that since it was going to go to a nonprofit and it would be shown sometimes, that they gave us a break. So we decided to take it.
Was it still around this area?
It was from Utica, actually. Okay. And it had only gone to this place in Racket Lake and then to the family in Utica. So it only had 2 owners.
Wow.
In almost 100 years. Yeah, almost 100 years.
Joni, what is a guide boat? I can guess, but what does that mean?
Well, it's long. It's long. It was named after Adirondack guides who needed a boat to transport everything that they needed to give directions to take to hunters, and they would take in supplies to people that they were working with, and then if the hunters killed deer or moose or panthers or whatever, then they hauled out all the stuff that the hunters needed. And they would take in they used to call the guys that they took in, they called them sports. And they took in the sport, they took in the supplies, and they took them in the backcountry. And they taught them, sometimes they taught them how to hunt, they taught them how to climb mountains. And they built these boats for better balance, to have one person in the back of the boat getting it all in and maneuvering the boat. So you would usually navigate from the back, and you had oars. And we've got lots of paraphernalia to make both of these boats navigable. And they're usually, this one is made out of cedar, but they might be made out of spruce so that they could bend a little. It takes maybe, you can see all the nail holes. They're really tiny. It takes a really long time. Everything has to be done by hand. Usually at the Adirondack Museum, they now call it the Adirondack Experience, they usually have a boat builder there in residence. It's been a woman for, I don't know, maybe the last 10 years. She makes one guide boat a year. And then at the end, they sell it as for a raffle. And they usually do it as an auction. And they usually sell them for $35,000 or $40,000 a year. And the interesting story is that she never had made a guide boat for herself. She never owned one. And last year her parents bought a guide boat and gave it to her, and she got her own guide boat that she made, and they gave it to her as a gift. But they had to pay $35,000 to give it to her. Wow. And that was pretty cool. And her husband was the one who restored this one, and we took it to him. And the paint is all new on this boat on the outside, because somebody had painted the outside of this boat with regular just daytime paint. And every time it got outside or they put it in the water, it blistered all over. It was a real mess. And so we had to do that. It cost us $3,000 just to have it restored. by a conservator in doing it. We didn't do too much on the inside, but you should come down and look on the inside, because this is what makes it really interesting, is all these ribs inside that you can see. It's pretty complicated construction. Yeah, it does. It looks like that. And it does look almost human inside with the body of it. This one has metal on it, and I suspect that it may not have had metal when it was really originally constructed.
Back in the day, right?
This one obviously does not. This baby is all wood.
So in terms of context and approximately year that something like...
William Alden died in 1885.
Okay.
So this is pre-1885.
Okay, and he was how old when he died?
Yeah, he was 37.
So he was only a few years younger than that to have done this, so...
He did 20 of these.
Okay, so 18...
Yeah.
10 or so, 15 years before this, in that time frame, was when something like this would have been built. And so there's special craftsmanship to make a guide boat to be able to do those duties.
Yeah. And he learned from the guy who did this one, because this guy was Caleb Judson Chase, and he was his father-in-law.
So he was his apprentice? Mm-hmm. Okay.
They worked together. And
this fellow is very famous.
Yeah, definitely.
For his work.
Yeah. He might have been the first real innovator in guide boat building in the Adirondacks entirely. It's a dispute with one or two men. And he learned from an indigenous person that we have a picture of him in the museum. He might have learned from Sabatis, who was used to hauling things into the Adirondacks for other people. This guide boat has a history that's deeper and more expensive, if you will. In our town, about 5 miles into the woods, is a place called the Sanchonelli Preserve, and it was built in 1892 and 1893 on 13,000 acres of land, and it has many buildings. And it was built by Robert Prime, who was a banker from Albany. Money, lots of money. And this boat, it was built for his wife. And in 1893, when they first went in for their first summer in the woods, in the woods to a mammoth, big place to live in. This boat was there. He commissioned your great, I believe, maybe two greats grandfather. They commissioned him in 1892 when they were thinking about doing the camp. In 1893, that summer, this was here as a present for Robert Prine's wife. Her name was Anna. This boat is called the Queen Anne. Oh. And he gave it to her because she liked to fish. And she was a wonderful trout fisherman. And she won every contest almost that they ever had. But she wasn't a great swimmer. And so she used to have one of her grandchildren go with her and paddle. And she was the fisherman. And she was casting off. And she was a wonderful woman. But when her last surviving granddaughter, about 4 or 5 years ago, decided that she needed to part with this before she died, she had had a stroke. She wanted to sell this, but she wanted really to have it come here and back to Newcomb. She sold it to somebody and basically said, why don't you buy this and give it to the Newcomb Museum? Yeah. And she struck a deal, but we have since had it appraised for the gentleman who bought it for us, and it was appraised for $25,000 plus in the appraiser. And so this one is like leagues away from this one. But had William Alden lived past his 37th birthday, he probably would have been making these too. He was extremely capable. If he had gotten to his 200th boat I mean, his would have looked like the master's boats too, I'm sure. But this one needs cleanup. And when we exhibit this, we have signed a deed of gift with this, and we got it outright. We didn't have to pay for this at all.
Oh, wow.
Wonderfully, you know, no money exchanged hands. It needs to be cleaned on the inside, and I mean, all of this is original. Yeah, but inside, isn't it beautiful inside? I think it is too. These bottom pieces have been changed, and the man who did the appraisal told us that when he worked at the Adirondack Museum, he did these. So we know who did even the changes on it. But the inside has to be cleaned, and we're not gonna do it at all. We're not gonna even try. We'll take it back, hopefully, to the same guy who did this, and that's it. But when we exhibit it, we are going to exhibit it with the story of Robert Prine and his wife, with the Chase family, and with boat building, and that's going to be our exhibit. And we hope, we didn't get a chance to talk to you about this, but we hope that it will be exhibited when we move to our new exhibit hall, which is up at the other end of town. It's not a new building. Unfortunately, I didn't speak loudly enough to get the new building, but it's a former Episcopal church. It's a log constructed building, and it's been renovated on the inside, and it's logs on both sides, but with enough white space around, and it's really quite charming. It's small, but it would fit 2 guide boats in it, and then with the genealogy of the Prine family and the genealogy of the Chase family. So
we can keep this place?
We can keep this place for administrative spaces, and we have a lot of researchers who come here now, and we hope that we can expand our library and our research capabilities. And
Maybe when you have your grand opening, we can all come.
wouldn't that be
That'd be cool.
And my advice to Baker is he comes early.
Yes.
To...
So that you make sure that you make
Oh,
it.
right. Yes.
Really beautiful, but it's, I mean, it,
Yeah, that is neat. It's like putting your hands on it.
no, I love the inside.
I do too. It's
We
so
have
beautiful.
everything that goes with it. We even have everything that belonged to Mrs. Prine that she used when she went out in it. We have a pack basket that is, it's feminine, it's gorgeous. And she, when she fished, she put stuff. We have the tools that she used, like to spear the fish, everything. I mean, it's just,
Really neat.
it's really beautiful.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So we really love these.
Well,